Cole, broadcasting live from the top of the Magneton, rising up out of the abyss. I wanted to take a moment to share a reading I did recently in the past couple of days. It's with a deck called Gateway of Light Activation. It's an Oracle deck by Kyle Gray with artwork by Jennifer Hawkyard. And what I do periodically is I'll lay cards out, specifically with my ancestral altar, and offer the opportunity to get into some of these light code frequencies and whatnot that are associated with this deck. So the first card I laid out was a card actually called the Ancestral Realm from the deck. And if you look at the card very closely, it's got a beautiful imagery of a gateway, and through the gateway is like megalithic stone formation, and further on from that is the sun rising in a valley between two mountains, and coming down in front of the gateway is a swirl of light, almost looks like a DNA swirl, but also the flames of fire. In the visualization, as I opened up this reading, I imagined myself standing at that gateway. I could feel the grass at my feet. I could smell the smell of the air, feel the wind and the warmth of the sun. And this has to be the sunset, because generally the ancestral realm is associated with the west where the sun sets. So after that, I laid out the cards in a certain formation, which I'll show a picture of. But to the side of, as I noticed as I turned the cards over, on the sides of the ancestral plane or ancestral realm card were two other cards, the Orion Activation and Memories of Atlantis, both of which have the images of gateways as well. Like I said, the ancestral card had a gateway, and each of these has a gateway also. The Orion Activation card, the meaning, and I'll go back to the ancestral realm because I didn't read the meaning there, but the Orion Activation portal card says supernova, recreation, renewal, and rebirthed by light. And then the Memories of Atlantis card with the gateway in the Ankh says spiritual acceleration, progress, and technology. So back to ancestral realm in this center of these three gateways. The meaning of that card says karmic release, healing the lineage and boundaries. So it alludes to healing karmic, getting closure on situations with family that may have passed, healing of what some people call intergenerational curses, or healing bad practices, and knowing how to set boundaries with family and also with ancestral spirits. So I'm presented with these three gateways, and the path forward straight through the ancestral plane leads next to a card called the Order of Melchizedek. Now, Melchizedek is mentioned in the Bible, and I believe also in the Zohar, as a high priest, one of the early high priests, if not the first high priest of the secret order, basically, that they had amongst the Hebrew people at that time. I believe it's rumored that he was the high priest of Moses, and that would mean he'd have to live a long time if it's and or Jesus. But this card represents being surrounded by the beings of a highest light frequency, being embraced by the light, your mission being uncovered, and it's encouraging, do not give up. Again, I visualize standing before this pillar of light that decorates and adorns this card in the twilight, it looks like, in a mountain valley, the cool water on my feet, and I feel myself bathed in that light. So the next card up, following the path straight up from the ancestral plane or the ancestral realm, is the Emerald Tablet. Now the Emerald Tablet is dates back to ancient Egypt, and is said to be the kind of the root of all what they call Hermetic philosophy. Hermes being the Greek name for the god Tahuti. Tahuti, or sometimes called by the Greeks Thoth. The word Thoth being the root of the word thought. Tahuti was the god of knowledge, thought. There's a connection there. And he's said to have written, before going to Egypt, primarily, I guess this was supposed to be written in Atlantis, he's supposed to have carved the secrets and mysteries of the universe onto an emerald tablet, of which we've probably heard things like as above, so below, all is mind, the universe is mental, the law of cause and effect, the laws of correspondence, as within, so without, so on and so forth, the laws of gender, things like that. And this, again, I visualize standing before this emerald pillar of light. It looks like it's almost embedded in a pyramid, and I stand before it and feel myself covered in the emerald light. And from there I ascend to the next card up, coming straight up through the ancestral realm, Order of Melchizedek, and the Emerald Tablet activation is the Halls of Amenti activation. And part of the synchronicity there is that the Emerald Tablet of legend is said to have been stored or hidden in the Halls of Amenti under the Great Pyramid after Tahuti fled from Atlantis. Card Halls of Amenti represents secrets revealed, treasures uncovered, and initiation. And although it doesn't have a doorway or gateway, it does have the twin pillars on either side, one black and one white, on the checkered board floor, on the side of a window or gateway with a pyramid in the middle. You can imagine yourself standing on the floor, feeling the firmness of the tiles beneath your feet. Feel yourself right there at the precipice, or on your way through the two pillars into the Hall of Mysteries. And the last two cards that gather on, or should I say linger on either side of the Halls of Amenti, both of them have the word star in them. One is the Star Being Healing Codes, and the other is the Star Gathering. The Star Being Healing Codes represents getting or receiving important information, wounds being healed and recharging, and the images of angelic light being kind of embracing the globe, and rays of energy, power, and I'm assuming love and light flowing off into various directions. And then the other card is the Star Gathering. It represents the stars aligning, remembering home and the soul family. So kind of remembering that one is part of the cosmos, and remembering your home is of the cosmos, and remembering your star family, remembering your soul family, I should say. Not just your family that you reincarnate with here, but your family across the cosmos that you can get in tune with, in touch with, for help and whatnot. And this one, I visualize standing in the water, but the water this time is about maybe waist deep, and spreads out like a big pool around me, with the land in the distance, and it looks like light shining over the horizon. And in the sky is the wheel of the sky, the zodiac, the stars, of which I visualize I can touch and move to access different epochs of time and possibility.